Helicon 2077. It is a pleasure to meet all of you. And my particular cut for the playlist is going to be the fourth movement of Mozart's Piano Concerto Number 22 in E flat. Um, I the reason this song is so special to me is because of, if you remember the movie Amadeus,
Oh,
Wolfgang
yes.
Petersen's Amadeus. I think that
That
was
was
who did it.
good.
Was it
I
Wolfgang
remember
Petersen?
watching it when I was a kid. Yes.
Yeah. Um, One of the first things that tipped my parents to me being on the spectrum, but it wasn't called that back then, was when I was a child and right between somewhere of like fifth and eighth grade, somewhere between there, I found my parents' VHS copy of Amadeus. It was the store bought one. It was I wore out that tape and two more because every single morning I woke up before school, like literally 3 hours before school, everybody's still asleep, and I watched that movie. And I had
Mm.
it like memorized.
Mm-hmm.
And this particular piece comes at after doing research on Mozart and finding out that like he was the original rock star. I mean, he really was. He went against everybody's grain and like they loved him for it. He was A lot of people think that he may have been on the spectrum, he may have been autistic, and yes, it is very true that he when he wrote his music, he never made copies. He literally just dictated music straight out of his head.
Mm.
The research that was done on his materials never show corrections. So they think that he may have been an autistic savant, and especially where it came to music, because music, I think, was what brought Europe together at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And that particular scene in the movie, it's it's beautiful. It shows him and his wife being escorted in a carriage, and the music just starts, and it's beautiful. It's perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's
Do you get chills every time you watch it?
oh my God! Every single time, cats just crawling, kittens, little tiny baby claws just crawling up my spine. It's beautiful and horrifying at the same time.
Mm.
It. Do you remember also the movie Clockwork Orange with
Sure.
Alexander Delarge and Beethoven?
Sure.
After watching that movie, man, did I really fall into Beethoven and
Mm.
realize that he was an absolute genius as well.
Yeah.
Absolute genius. Yeah.
Um, I can't quite hear the music. Can you crank it up a little?
Yes, sir, I can. I don't want it to come through as staticky or
Right.
because it's a good headset, but how is that? Let me know when it's good.
Now it just went away. Maybe because it's a quiet part. There
It's
you go.
There we go. Yeah.
That was it. A little more.
and here it comes. How's that?
Better.
How could anybody not love this?
There. See, that's the thing. It's weird because of Zoom, you're getting spots of it. Like it kind of comes in and fades out and comes in.
I tell
From
you
what
what,
I'm hearing, though,
there's
I like. There you go. That came in good.
so
What
sorry.
happened?
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Look at your face. So Beethoven's your guy, is what you're saying.
Mozart, absolutely
Mozart.
Mozart. Yeah, I've been at Mozart because, as I said, his music is so. It's like I told Anna. I said that like classical music to me has always been special because it was heavy metal before electricity.
Sure. Yeah, it's funny. I introduced my daughter recently to classical music. She's 11, and you know, she doesn't realize that what she's heard all her life in movies and commercials and whatever, that's classical.
Yes, sir.
So she's, you know, she goes, "Who's they played something at school? I don't know, Beethoven, I guess it was. I don't know. Am I saying it right?" I said, "Come here. Let me introduce you to some stuff that you're going to hear the rest of your life."
And I'm not
You
gonna.
know.
And the movement goes on for probably another 16 minutes, but I'm gonna go ahead and pass the torch on over to Mac here. But that's my particular piece. That's the one that no matter what mood I'm in, if it's been a good day, if it's been a bad day, if it's been that day, that particular piece for me is just it has that magic for me. It can put me in whatever mood I want to be in.
Oh,
It
sure.
just carries me away.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, there's certain classic things that I think people tend to take for granted with classical music because it's always been there. You know, you hear it all the time. But boy, if you sit down and you listen to certain tracks, they'll move you. Like I find it in the way that it how it's used can make a big difference. Like if I see it in a particular scene in a show or a movie, that sticks with me forever. You know what I mean? Like I'll hear it and I'll go, "Oh, I could play the scene in my head from that episode of, you know." I don't know if you're watching the new Quantum Leap, but there was a great episode.
Oh, it's good. Yes.
I have not seen it. I have not seen it, and
tied to the original. So that's all. I mean, you can feel safe in knowing that they're not messing with the original.
I always had a little bit of a theory about that.
They're continuing the story, and there's a big mystery in this first season. And well, during the end of the third season, I want to say, either second or third season, there's an episode where they play Georgia on My Mind from Ray Charles. And it's such a emotional scene with Al. Spoilers for people. Al is trying to talk to his wife, but he's a hologram in the future or the present for us, where this is back in the late 60s, and she's dancing in the living room, just listening to music. And he's trying to plead with her, "Don't give up on me." Because he's a prisoner at war during this time in Vietnam. So he misses his wife. She's the one that is his true love. And through the whole episode, like he's trying to direct Sam to save his own marriage, which they're not there to do.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, there's a couple minutes there where he's dancing as a hologram with her and he's pleading with her. And they play Ray Charles, Georgia. And now for the rest of my life, anytime I hear it, I can hear the scene. And the moment when he leaps out, I know right in that song where it happens. So, I'm like, oh, I'm following it along. and then all of a sudden that's where he leaps, and then the rest of the song plays. But so I get that. The emotional ties to music is,
That's always been one of my favorite scenes from that show as well.
yeah, so it.
Yes, sir, I do. Oh, absolutely.
They play the song from
It's
right
a
before it,
tearjerker.
too.
It really
It
is.
really is. I mean, every time I watch it, I fill up. And I just had the kids watch it this past year, the whole series, so we got ready for the new one. And that's always one of their favorite scenes. Like they're like, I'm gonna, when I'm in the mood to cry, I'm gonna watch that scene. And
Absolutely.
Al really was like, he was the one that gave you all the emotion. There's a couple episodes where you really get into, instead of Al just being the, womanizing, slimy, smart mouth guy with the handling, he brings this vulnerability that, I really don't know if anybody else could do. There's another episode. Remember the episode Jimmy?
The Down syndrome.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he's
Very
telling Sam,
powerful episode.
he's telling
Very
Sam, we
powerful.
can't give up on this kid. And here's why. My sister, and he starts telling the story about his sister, and he chokes up, like Dean Stockwell chokes up as he's doing the scene. And he goes, we're not giving up on it, right, Sam? And he's like, Sam's kind of like, yeah, all right, I got you. Yeah. And that was, I think, the first time you got more from Al. So, you get these
That's
episodes.
interesting. That's an interesting premise.
Right? Oh,
Very
because
interesting.
you get into his backstory about how his father left him at an orphanage, and the sister was mistreated by the place where she was, and he tried to go back and get her, and basically she died under their care. And so he always felt that guilt about like not saving his sister sooner than he could. And it gets you.
Yes, it does.
All right, so what do we do for the next song? Like, am I supposed to pick a song? Or?
I can actually do it.
You just whatever works, guys. I don't know.
I mean, I could always play something on my phone while we're talking, but I don't know if it'll come through as well. It's up to you. I'll give you if you give me 2 seconds, I will bring something up, and we'll see.
And then, Joe, do you have a link for the song that you just played? I'm going to drop it in our page.
Actually, I use I use YouTube for my music because I have the YouTube Premium, so I don't ever have to deal with the commercials. I can't stand
I do
commercials.
the same thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to use too. I'm going to use the YouTube thing, and I'll just play it in front of me, and hopefully it'll come through.
You sound like you have a really good microphone, so I think it should work.
Yeah, well, it's a new
Yes,
one.
sir.
It's
Nice.
got
There
the
you
light
go.
and everything. So,
There you go.
Ooh.
As a musician, I've been a drummer all of my life. I mean, since I was a child. Music can do what only few things can possibly do.
mhm.
It
Is that
can.
coming through, by the way?
No, sir, not yet. I'm not hearing you
Really?
at all. I'm not hearing you. I don't know
Well,
if
that's
Anna.
that's unfortunate. That's the thing with this Zoom stuff. You play stuff, and
It has the audio blocker. Mhm.
I guess, yeah, there's audio settings that just popped up. So tell you what, I'll just stop it and we'll talk. And let's see. Yeah, it's not really helping me out too much.
I'm thinking next year we might try another platform, but I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's the platform or if there's some sort of trick to making Zoom play music behind us. You know what I mean? Because the classical music that he was playing, I was enjoying, but it would come in waves. Like you hear a little bit and then it would go away.
Well, there's also a legal matter to consider. As I've been a streamer for 6 years, and a lot of gamers like to play particular games with their own playlist in the background. And when you do that, Twitch especially, I'm not sure about YouTube if they'll do it, but they will mute the audio from your stream while that music has been played in your videos on demand
Mm,
because of DMCA.
mm. Wow, that's something. Well, let's just talk about music then.
That's
You were
perfect.
saying as a drummer,
I can put on some just random jazz that'll come in the background if that's okay.
give it a shot,
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
because that way at least
And
it's
then,
something.
and also, Mac, if you can tell us about your playlist, since it's not playing, I'm so sorry. But
No, no,
anyway,
that's
if
good.
you
Yeah,
can tell us about your playlist selection, that would be great.
absolutely. Well, I'll let tell me what you were saying about being a drummer.
Well, I've been a drummer for 30, 38 years. I'm 47 years old. I got my first drum set from my best friend John, who recently passed away, and it was for me. I do play guitar as well, and I also sing. I love drumming for so many reasons. One, because it annoyed the hell out of my mother.
Okay.
But at the very same time, she would come out there with her hands over her ears and she would sit there and listen and she would give me the thumbs up and then just go back inside and do whatever she was doing. And I probably was absolutely horrible at the time. But, I did what
She's
I could.
encouraging it. That was good.
And I was a member of a touring band back in the very early 90s, only for a year due to legal reasons. I can't say what band that is. But I got the ins and outs of being a professional road musician, touring musician, and I have to tell you, it's not all sunshine and rainbows that the
Oh
people
no.
out there think it is. No, it can be a very dark, deep, antagonistic world.
And it's a lot of work too.
It is. It is. It. If everybody were musicians, everybody would be musicians. As a buddy of mine used to say.
Well, it's funny that you say that because, and I understand, it takes all kinds to make the world go around. But one of the things that, and my son is now the same way. I
Is
don't,
he?
I I love music so much, and it's part of my DNA, and I'm very critical about what I like. And if a musician or a band gets through that wall, well, now you have me as a fan forever. Well, we'll notice as we're talking to people, you go, do you like? Oh yeah, I like music. Yeah, who's your favorite? Like what? You want to get into the guts of it. Who do you love? And they'll go, just whatever's played on the radio. No,
Yeah,
no,
one
no,
of
you
them.
don't.
Okay.
And that's not to criticize the general public. If that's where you are with music, great. But for the select few of us who are so nitpicky, you can't just listen to anything. You have to, for me, I always say, for me, I have to have a standard by which I judge anything by. Like again, I'm a real stickler. And I understand that not everybody's going to agree with what I like, but you have to have a standard. If you just listen to anything and just go, yeah, everything's fine, then you don't really love music, do you? Because you're not there to fight for it, and you don't feel the drive to make it. Like I can't help but be creative and be my own worst critic because I want to contribute to this thing that I love.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I hope I'm successful. I hope I'm doing all right, but I'm sincere that I love it so much that, and you tell me, I'll play my own stuff and I'll write my own songs, but I get just as much joy to go, wait, let me play this song for you that you don't know because I love it and it gives me the chill. You know what I mean? Like for me to stand on stage, that's about me trying to make sure that hopefully I can play it accurately and with the same passion that the people will get the effect that I get when I hear it.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there who, God love you. You're out there on stage. I want to be famous. Well, then you're in it for the wrong reasons. And I could throw a rock and hit somebody who thinks they're gonna I could sing. Yeah, but you're not good. Like you're hitting the notes, but you know what I mean? Like you need to be your own worst critic. And I don't know if that happens enough,
Hmm.
right?
You have to be critical of yourself, or else, I mean, you'll just put out the same copy and paste things
Well, I
over and
mean,
over and over. There's a
a
lack
lot
of
of
creative
people,
drive.
will go, close enough. Like, nope, you just cut off, you have to work at it. You have to focus. You have to go, yeah, I know that's good enough, but I could do better. Like always have that drive. My wife and I had to go see, our friends had invited us. I don't know if I told this story last year, but they had invited us to see, hey, my cousin's playing at the local yokel drokel. Come on, we're gonna. Oh God. Okay, so we got to be supportive, and I already know that I'm, because and they know it too, because they're like, try to be kind. I'm like, no, I am. I'm not going to stand up and go, you suck, because that doesn't help anybody. But we sat there in the
No,
audience,
that's not a good idea, no.
right? I mean,
No,
that's
not
not
usually. Not
kind.
usually.
Even if I feel it inside, I'm not going to do that because that's just me. So we're sitting there listening to this guy, and he's doing what the typical guys will do. They'll play taking care of business and all like the standards that you can hear on the radio, which is completely unfair to yourself to do because no matter what, consciously or subconsciously, the audience is judging you by what they already know.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? If you're going to play somebody's song, do a deeper cut. Unless you get requested to do something, play something that they don't know anything about. That's my personal philosophy.
Hmm.
So anyway, so we're sitting there and he's, doing whatever and we're eating and they're kind of looking at me. They're giving me the, you okay? You happy? I'm like, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I'm not, and then he decides to play Cats in the Cradle.
Ooh.
Now, little insight into me, Harry Chapin is one of my biggest influences.
Hmm.
And Harry Chapin's music is not something you can kind of do. You either nail it or don't do it at all. Other musicians, you can fake it. You can, hey, it's just fun. Whatever. I'm kind of got the chords right. It doesn't really matter. Harry Chapin, every note, every way that he would pronounce a word mattered. I mean, it's so unique with his style. And unfortunately, most people know Cats in the Cradle, but they don't play enough of anything else that he did. And Cats in the Cradle is just the tip of the iceberg.
Hmm.
Well, of course, this guy got to do, everybody knows Cats in the Cradle, so here I go. He starts playing it, and he goes, bam, 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 and they all turn. It's like the whole place went and looked at me like, uh-oh. Now he's not going to be happy. And I'm trying to smile, and I'm not saying a word. And because he's stomping on something he shouldn't be touching. I swear to God, I wanted to go up there and go, excuse me, give this to me. Sit down for a minute and play it, not out of arrogance. I don't mean it out of arrogance. I don't think I'm better than anybody, but man, I know certain things. And Harry Chapin is one of them.
Hmm.
So we're sitting there and he's bashing through it. There's no heart to it. He's just getting from one line to the next. And to this day, I could still feel all their eyes on me going, I think he's going to blow. I think he's going to lose it. So,
I think you showed incredible self-restraint, Matt.
Nice.
And this is going back like 20 years or so, but it still sticks in my mind of very hard to go and just, it's the same thing like karaoke. I couldn't just people go, oh, let's go sing karaoke.
Oh, no.
I can't do it because what's it called? There's a thing where your ears are so sensitive to tone that if it's off, it affects your mood and it affects your physical. Like I'll get nauseous if I hear somebody being off key. Like it's one of those. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm an Asian though, guys, and karaoke is very big here. But I just walk by and I go, I don't sing it all myself, but I'm sitting there going, it's so off key.
And there's people that go, it's fun, it doesn't matter, let's go have fun and, butcher a song. I unfortunately can't. And it
No.
gets to a point where I go, I'm going to throw up.
Yeah, yeah.
And
it's not because I think they're doing a bad job. It's just I'm going, you are so off key. You're murdering that song.
Right. And you also set yourself up typically for failure anyway, because you're singing songs that everybody already knows. It doesn't matter how great you are. Somebody said to me, my father was one of them actually. He said, you know what you should do? Besides your own music and everything, you should go out and try and market yourself as a Harry Chapin guy, because I can do the songs and capture the emotion, which was a big compliment coming from my father. My father doesn't dish out compliments, but he's like, I think you should do that. And I thought about it. I thought, thank you. But you know what? No matter how great I am at it, the public would look at me as the number 2 Harry Chapin guy after Harry Chapin. At the absolute best, you would be, it's like a tribute band. Yeah, they sound just like them, and you're always going to have that. I'd rather be a first-rate me than a second-rate, anybody else.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Right? I mean, you get that. But man, you're right. It is a heck of a journey, and performing and, dealing with other musicians, like you said, could be great or it could be a nightmare. Right, Joe?
You might lose me for just a second.
No worries. It's okay.
That's okay. We'll just get talking. You were asking about some of my playlist influences.
Yes.
Well, because I the influences on what the Spotify. Had an effect on me.
My Mac, if I share that on our group.
Please, yeah, it's the whole point of it is to share. I'll occasionally throw it on social media.
I can now. I'll take the DMCA hit, but as of right now, anybody that tunes into my stream on my channel on Twitch will hear whatever music we're talking about, and I can play whatever you're requesting. I'll take the DM. I stream daily. I stream daily, and I do it too. And if they're watching live. Yes, ma'am.
I have a solution.
Okay.
Just play less than a minute and everyone's perfectly fine. I was going to say that at the beginning of the meeting, but if you play less than a minute, it'll be fine. No.
That's true.
Okay.
That's true. But what I was saying was, I'll occasionally throw up this playlist. Besides it being a nice promo for Harmony Constant Music, that's my band. I just throw it up there so people can hear what I like without me having to go, okay, let's go through the list. There's this guy, I just go enjoy this playlist. And if something clicks for you, you'll look down at your phone and remember who it was and maybe look into their
doing
stuff.
Covers.
You know what I mean?
I hate doing covers, but there's a few that I do want to do. Not to remake the song, but to pay homage to it. I'm more of a rock musician, heavy metal, and one of the songs I've always wanted to do ever since I was a little kid was Barracuda from Heart.
Oh, sure, that's a good
Make
one.
that just a little bit. No, I'm not going to mess with the tempo, the tone, or anything, but I just want to make it a little bit heavier, throw some distortion in there. It would be beautiful. I think it would be beautiful, and it would be like Korn did it with Another Brick in the Wall, a Pink Floyd, a great song, and they did it in such a way where they really respected the material and the artist, and they didn't go out on this wild tangent of changing the music so drastically. They really respected it, and that's what I like. But for my personal.
Well, who? Before I go down my long list, who are some of your favorite musicians?
I'm gonna tell you a bunch of them, and you're not gonna know.
Somebody will.
Of them,
okay.
Somebody will. I've been listening to a lot of Swedish heavy metal recently. A band that arose a bunch of years ago named Avatar. Let's see. I've been listening to a lot of Lenny Kravitz lately, actually.
Ooh,
Lenny Kravitz. I've really gotten into looking in his bio,
He's got
learning
a
more
good
about him,
groove.
because I've seen him play guitar, drums, and bass,
Sure.
and nobody points this out. It's
I
like,
know.
dude, he's a one-man band. I love it. Christopher Cross has actually crossed my playlist recently. Bruce
Oh, he's
Hornsby.
good. Yeah.
Bruce Hornsby. See, I grew up with parents of my mother, Italian, loved American rock and roll. My father, Serbian, loved American rock and roll, but from the 1950s. Like
Sure.
doo-wop, really.
Oh.
Like acapella and doo-wop, a lot of it. And I always told myself, I'm never going to listen to this kind of music. And then around comes 2000s and I'm playing Fallout 3 and all that music is the same and I'm going, I love this music.
Yeah.
Right. Always classical is somewhere in the background. Jazz. I've recently gotten into jazz. As I've gotten older, I've started to come into respecting more of the music and the artists' hard work and devotion to their craft.
Absolutely.
I live in Tulsa, Oklahoma right now, which as a goth metal guy doesn't always go off so well, but
Sure.
I'm really starting to respect country. And to be honest with you, a friend of mine from my work has gotten me into some progressive modern gospel music as well that I'm listening to going, wow, this is pretty good. I mean, this isn't some of the what I used to call cheeseball music back in the day.
You can tell there's heart behind it.
Yes, very much so, and they really love what they do. And to be a musician, if you're doing it just for the money and the fame and the fortune, which is not likely,
Right.
but if you're doing it for that reason, you're not doing it for the right reason. You have to do it because it comes from here, not
Right.
from your wallet.
Right. Yeah, and
It's coming from the heart and the mind.
I do it because, like you said, you can't help but do it.
Gotta be
But I
passionate.
am under no delusion that, like, I'm not gonna, I live in Pennsylvania. Unless I have some signed record contract that told me and my family you have to now hit the road because we've signed you to a record contract.
Mhm.
I'm not going anywhere. I could have gone to New York and I could have gone to LA, but you get to that point in your life where you go, what do you really want? Like, can I still do? We're lucky now in this world. The last 20 years or more, we could still live home and make music. Like, that's amazing. Whereas before, you could sing all you want, but unless you had a record contract with a big company, you weren't going anywhere. Now I could sit here, work on something, and put it online. Like, that's wow. The fact that I'll find out occasionally I have a new fan in, like you said, Sweden or Scotland or Alaska. Like, okay, thank you, and God bless you for letting me know, because you don't know. You make this stuff, you put it out there, and it's out there. I don't, you don't know if anybody cares, if anybody listens. So any sort of feedback that you get, any sort of love, wow. I'll ride that for the next year, and that inspires you to, okay, well, now I got to create more. You go start doing that. It's the same thing, like, if you play in a room with other musicians, you get guys who, occasionally I'll be invited to this, what do they call it? Like a potluck, where everybody brings a dish, and then, okay, you sit there, you eat. But then after that, you go into the living room, sit in a big circle, a lot of guitar players. Sometimes you get a keyboardist or a guy who plays the fiddle or mandolin or banjo or harmonica. And you go, all right, you pick a song and we're going to learn it. Okay, now you, and they go around the circle and you just do that all night. That is so much fun. And so, if you're of the like mind, you go, okay, you and me, keep going. Let's keep, and you want to create more. It feeds that hunger,
Yes, it's one of my hungers right now is the one thing. If I had a wish right now, like I wouldn't wish for $1 million. I wouldn't wish for another life. I would wish for a drum set.
Sure.
I
Well, I have a guitar
miss.
buddy. I have a guitar buddy who sends me a thing, like memes like that said, you know, but won $1 million. How many guitars can I buy with that?
You're right.
It's like,
You can always buy another. You can always afford another guitar. You can always afford
Right.
another guitar.
yeah.
You said
Well, that's-
you're from Pennsylvania. I grew up in Pittsburgh, and
Oh, okay.
if you know anything about Pittsburgh, the way them people talk when they're going downtown and going to get a sandwich and a pop.
Oh,
I was like,
sure.
everybody,
Yeah,
why aren't there more musicians from Pittsburgh? Because you can't understand them when they're talking.
No, I'm 5 hours away. I'm in Dixon City, which
Nice.
is Scranton, actually.
Okay.
Close
I know where
enough.
that's at. Right.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a convention coming up that I can't go to because it's in Pittsburgh, but I can't.
Ah,
That's 5 hours
sorry.
away. I can't, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a shame, but that's, you know, there'll be others. Let's see. All right, I'll go down some of my list off the top of my head.
I just got a message here recently. I'm going to have to step out. I have somebody that is coming into town that surprised me earlier with the message, and I had informed Anna about this. And they're
Okay.
getting close, so I have to go and meet them.
Of course.
It's
so.
been an honor. Thank you so much, Mac. I do appreciate it.
Anytime,
Your
buddy.
your insight, your sharing, and
Anytime.
I hope to talk to you again sometime soon, man.
You will next convention, huh?
All right, yes, sir. I'll
You might
be
see
back
him-
to like I think maybe later on tonight or tomorrow.
Yep, I think if you're able to, Joe, we've got the horror one, and Mac might be joining that one too. So.
Okay,
Sure.
not a problem. I'll try to get there. All right,
And I will
guys.
be there, but I have
Bye.
no input because I don't watch horror.
I gotcha. Oh, growing up, I grew up growing up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We always knew about Night of the
Dawn of the
Living
Dead.
Dead. Night of the
Sure.
Living Dead, the original one. It was like everybody was always like, "Yeah, that's only like 14 miles up the road." I was like, "Let's go see it." It's just this house in a barn, and I'm like, "Wow." So, okay, guys, always a pleasure. Thank you so very much, MT Helicon
Thanks for
2077.
joining, Joe.
See you guys later.
Bye. Have a
Bye.
good
Bye.
trip.